The talk about CBDCs gets people, quite spun up, rightfully so. But I think the story here is CBDCs are going to be a non-starter in the free world. It's like that persistent boogeyman where people say, oh, it's coming, and the result is more interest in the antidote to it. So I don't think it's bad for Bitcoin. I think it's good for Bitcoin. I do think we ought to be concerned about money being used as a system of control. Is very disturbing.
Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Talk Crypto. CBDCs have been the talk of the town among critics of digital currency. This is a recent Forbes article. Senator Ted Cruz from Texas, a major advocate for Bitcoin, has raised concerns about the probable effect of digital dollar and other central bank-issued cryptocurrencies on Bitcoin's value. He believes that this could lead to total devaluation of the cryptocurrency. Last month, Cruz introduced legislation that would prevent the creation of a digital dollar, arguing that the U.S. government has no authority to unilaterally establish a central bank currency. In a recent interview with PBD Podcast, Michael Saylor discussed his views on central bank digital currencies and how they can affect Bitcoin. Saylor argues that state control is not a new concept, and further debates how money has been used as a system of control throughout history. He also stated he is not worried about the impact on Bitcoin. In fact, he believes CBDCs to be beneficial for Bitcoin, as more people become aware that they do not own their money, and realize that Bitcoin is a censorship-resistant monetary network. Let's listen to Michael Saylor as he shares his insights on CBDCs, and how the crackdown on cryptocurrencies is affecting Bitcoin and the industry overall. But before we do, please consider subscribing to our channel, as we bring you daily content on the latest crypto news. And now, let's jump right into the video.
Every time a politician wants to ban guns, there's an explosion in demand to buy guns, right? And so talk about CBDCs really as a marketing event that causes everyone to think about a world where they don't own their own money. And that makes them think, well, what kind of money could I acquire that I would own? And the most censorship-resistant monetary network in the world is Bitcoin. So interest in CBDCs is just going to drive more feverish interest in Bitcoin. It's actually driving awareness, and Bitcoin is growing as people become more aware that they need something which is non-sovereign, store of value, nation-state resistant. But, money is, it's a store of value, a unit of account, a medium of exchange, and then there's a fourth characteristic that we don't talk about. It's the thing that's not said. It's a system of control. So certain monies are easier to control than others. For example, we talk about gold as money, but you ever try to carry a gold bar through an airport?
Very heavy.
Try it next time. They won't let you through, right? In fact, if you tried to carry $100,000 of gold through an airport, not only would you not get through, but the assumption would be you're a criminal, you stole the gold, and they would just take it and keep it without a court order. Now, try to carry $100,000 of cash through the airport. You ever try that? Put it in a bag and just... you can put it in a bag, and as you're walking through the TSA check or the X-ray machine, just nonchalantly say to the officer, yeah, I'm carrying $100,000 of money onto the airplane, right? You won't get through. Now, not only will you not get through, they'll just take your money. So cash is a unit of control. Now, put $100,000 in a bank and try to wire it to someone, or just take it out and they're going to ask you why. Tell them it's none of their business. Try to send it to someone privately. Tell them you just want to send it to a numbered Swiss bank account, right? See how that works. That won't work, right? That's a system of control. A couple of stable coins have been getting shut down. Paxos's BUSD got a Wells notice. They got shut down. And Custodia tried to launch a bank, and they wanted to issue AVITs. AVITs were digital dollars, and they were digital dollars that were going to circulate on crypto networks. And the regulators denied that banking license. If you dig into that denial letter, which is very well written and articulate, what is very clear is the regulators say we're not going to allow the bank to form because we don't want someone to issue digital dollars that will circulate on crypto networks non-KYC. Evading our our anti-money laundering rules, our anti-terrorism rules, our know your customer rules. So it's clear that the regulators reject with prejudice the idea that you can circulate large sums of dollars without reporting that. Now, that's a political football, right? Because a lot of people in this country think that you should own your own money and you should have financial privacy and you ought to be able to do what you want with your money. There's another group of people that don't agree, right? Ted Cruz is on the side of freedom. You ought to own your own money. Now, it turns out that if your money's in a bank, you're not going to be able to circulate it freely. It's controlled. And on the other hand, Bitcoin is the one network you can't control. Ted Cruz's famous line is, "I like Bitcoin for the same reason the Chinese don't like it. They can't control it." Nobody can control Bitcoin. So if you're insecure about being able to own your own money, do you own it? And can you actually use it without asking somebody's permission? Then the solution is not gold. It's not silver coins. It's not stacks of cash. It's not money in a bank in the U.S. It's certainly not money in a bank in Lebanon, Argentina, anywhere in Africa. So the one network that you have that gives you a decent chance of owning your own money and then being able to spend it the way you want is Bitcoin. So I'm not worried about Bitcoin.
While the discussion about CBDCs continues to spread among the political sphere, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis posted on Twitter, "According to the Constitution, major policy changes require specific authorization from Congress. CBDCs cannot be imposed on Americans. They may claim that CBDCs won't be abused, but we are wise enough to know better. People in the know are well aware of why the politicians want a central bank digital currency, to control and monitor what people are doing. But what does the average voter think about this? Let's hear what Michael has to say."
I'm sure the overwhelming majority of the population is adamantly against it, and I would say a decent majority of politicians are against it, but there is a fringe wing that wants to impose control over everybody, and they don't trust anybody. And heck, at some point they would probably like to see how you spend $50, and that's the control freaks in the political sphere. Politicians have shown themselves quite capable of interfering in your private affairs, and the last 3 years have shown anything. They've shown that people can come up with some justification to tell you how many people can sit at your dinner table on Thanksgiving, right? And so there'll be some of them. I don't think that politically it's going to fly in the near term. In the next 2 to 4 years, I don't see consensus at the political level to impose a CBDC, but I think it's like that persistent boogeyman where people say, "Oh, it's coming," and the result is more interest in the antidote to it. So I don't think it's bad for Bitcoin. I think it's good for Bitcoin. I do think we ought to be concerned about money being used as a system of control. Is very disturbing. I think that what's going on right now is there's a regulatory crackdown on crypto. And so what is happening is the administration is cracking down on crypto exchanges. It's cracking down on crypto securities. It's cracking down on some of the crypto tokens, and is cracking down on cryptocurrencies. And by currency, I mean a stable coin, like a dollar circulating. And I think that that's creating quite a lot of sound and fury and friction and anxiety in the industry. I think it'll continue. There is no coherent digital asset framework that's been offered by any regulator. There isn't any coherent digital assets framework offered by any legislator. We're nowhere near that. Like, there's not a bill we're debating that if it gets voted on will solve the problem. There is no bill.
Got it.
Okay, and so the talk about CBDCs gets people quite spun up, rightfully so, but I think the story here is CBDCs are going to be a non-starter in the free world. And even in the place that's closest to it is China, I suppose. And so I really think that it's a Chinese concept, and I don't really think in the free world we want to be like the Chinese. And I think ultimately both sides of the aisle will agree on that. This is the struggle, control versus freedom that's as old as time. In the history of the human race, every society, there's always people that want to impose control on the people, and there's another group that want freedom. I mean, there were monopolies in New York on who could bake, There were tariffs on using the Hudson River to go up and down the river. There were monopolies on who could trade with the Indians. They would give you land, they would steal your land, they would tax the land, people wouldn't pay the tax, there were rebellions. It's hundreds and hundreds of struggles. So it's been going on before the revolution. It's going on in every country in the world. Today, it's certainly going on, and if you have any political power, I think the best way to use it is to support those that trust people are in favor of freedom, because there tends to be, or seems to be, this never-ending tendency of governmental organizations to get stronger, and as they get stronger, they raise taxes, they funnel the taxes into the police state and the control state, and pretty soon it's illegal to bake bread. It's illegal to row up a river. It's illegal to cross the river. It's, I'd like to say it was unique and a one-time thing, but it wasn't. It's kind of the history of humanity. So it's going on today. It's reprehensible, and you can't see politicians that will articulate that message that the people cannot be trusted and the government needs to control everything. I'm hopeful that we'll see a backlash to the control tendencies in the political sphere that have manifested themselves over the past few years. And CBDC is just one of those touchstones. It's not the only one. It won't be the last one. It wasn't the first one.
What do you think of Saylor's view on this? Can the average person see past their narrative that CBDCs will be used to protect the population against scams and money laundering? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give us a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. This is Let's Talk Crypto, and we'll see you in the next video.